Hi, and welcome to the next installment in our series, Your Questions About College. Today's question, someone asked, how do you pay for college without scholarships? The answer, it turns out, is that it's complicated. College in the United States is really, really expensive. It costs anywhere between $80,000 and $120,000 after financial aid for the average family to pay for college. Unless you have a lot of money, that is a significant expense for almost every family. So it's a challenge. And there are four strategies you can use. First strategy is to maximize your eligibility for financial aid. And the key to doing this is to start early. Now, financial aid, the way this works in the United States is that you first fill out a form that the government creates. It's called a free application for federal student aid. It's also called FAFSA. It's due by October 1st of each year for students who are going to go to college in the next year. And the FAFSA asks you a bunch of questions about your income, your assets, and other kinds of things. And based on all of that, it calculates a figure. It's called an estimated family contribution, or an EFC. The EFC is basically a floor, a minimum amount that you will pay to go to college. So you might get a lot of financial aid, you might not get a lot of financial aid, but you won't get so much financial aid that the college pays more than your that you have to pay less than your EFC, in other words. So maximizing your FAFSA application so that you minimize your EFC is really, really the first critical thing. And in order to do that, for many families, it's really worthwhile, especially if your child is still a freshman, a sophomore, or even a junior, to sit down with a financial consultant and figure out if there are things you can do to minimize the amount of money you will end up paying out of pocket for college, or to minimize your EFC. In many cases, there are situations, for example, if you have money in a child's account, in an account in your child's name, that might affect your EFC, or if you have a business or own farm, or have real estate property other than your home, if in many situations like that affect your EFC. So if any of those situations might apply to you, see a financial consultant, sit down with them, and figure out how you can minimize your EFC. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you should apply for scholarships other than the ones that the colleges will give you. So even though, and this is something most people don't really recognize or do, every year $3 billion worth of scholarships goes ungranted. And that's because not enough people are applying for them. And the reason is because if you go to many, many scholarship sites, they will inundate you with so much information that you might not be able to keep on top of all of it. But there are techniques you can use. If you go to, for example, if you go to Life Launcher, you can create a profile. There are other sites as well where you can do this, and then receive only information about scholarships that you can apply for specifically and win. And you could, if you're diligent about this, and spend as little as 15 to 30 minutes over the course, a week over the course of a couple of years in high school, you could save $20,000 on college costs, which is a pretty significant savings for many, many, many families. So I would highly, highly encourage you to do this to get outside scholarships other than the ones from the university. The third thing is to look at many, many ways to cut your cost of college. You can, for example, reduce your cost of college by going to community college for a year or two and getting some credits there. You can, even while you're at a four-year university, go to your local community college and get some credits there that you can get accounted for at your university. And community college is much less expensive than most four-year universities. You can buy your books somewhere other than at the college bookstore, because college bookstores are very expensive. We actually have a course on Life Launcher. It's called 15 Ways to Cut the Cost of College that go over all of this. It's a free course if you remember. It's a great thing to do. But it is worthwhile trying to figure out how to cut the cost of college. And finally, of course, if you run out of all the other options, you can borrow money. You can get student loans. This is a very expensive way to go to college. The average student now graduates with over $35,000 in student loan debt, and that's a huge burden to have when they're just beginning their career. So we would highly encourage you to look at the other ways. Find a college that will offer merit scholarships, apply for scholarships outside of college, reduce your EFC in whatever ways you can, explore other ways to cut the costs so that you can in fact go to college and be able to afford it. Thank you. That's this episode. We will answer more questions the next time.